Our next pair will feature the Greco-Roman wrestlers. Shujin will line up alongside Lindsey Durlacher, and we heard Ted speak about Lindsey a little bit earlier. Actually from this Illinois area, wrestling in front of friends and family. In fact, for the first time in about 10 years that he's been back here to wrestle in front of some of these folks.
Yeah, I get to tease Lindsey a little bit. He's a great young man, and I'm starting to tease with the young man because he's 32 years old now, so I'm not sure I can keep using the term young. He now falls into the elder statesman category. But he's a great guy.
Once again, this is at 55 kilos.
Yeah, his area wrestling starts all the way back in high school, back in the early 90s. He was a state champion for Buffalo Grove, and then he attended college at University of Illinois, where he was a two-time All-American. So he's been at this for quite a while, and he's really come on over the last 3 years since he moved out to the Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center. He's been training full-time, and you can just see what's gone on, because in 2004 he was fourth in the U.S. Olympic team trials, and just 2 years later, he wins a world bronze medal in 2006. So he's really made the jump with this focused training out in Colorado Springs.
Also brought home the 2006 U.S. Nationals champion, and 2005-2006 a U.S. World Team member. So yeah, a lot of experience.
You'll notice that the referee flipped a colored disc to decide which wrestler gets an option here. What's going on is, in the 2-minute period, it's broken into 1 minute on the feet and then 2 30-second wrestling from the mat, what they call parterre in French. And the flip of the disc is to see who gets their choice first. Oh boy, Lindsey got that reverse body lock. He got him lifted up. He wants to throw it. Nice job. Oh man, he really planted him with that.
You can see the strength, just amazing strength out of Lindsey Durlacher. Excellent job. The crowd, of course, a big response out of them, supporting Team USA, of course, against China here. And we should also say that Lee is 24 years old. I mean, he's a young man, and when it comes to that experience, it is a huge difference and in favor of Lindsey.
That 5-point move was gorgeous. That's basically all I can say. The trick is getting locked and lifted before the underneath man lowers himself to the mat. That's easier said than done. And right there, at that time, the wrestler got himself lowered. But the reason you get your choice with the flip of that colored disc is being able to go first. Okay, now this 30-second period finished, and now Lindsey Durlacher will go underneath. The opportunity to go first is big, because if you can get that first throw and get a pin out of it, it ends the match. So you're going to always take that option to go first. Now, okay, the referee's going to call one of the two wrestlers, either Lindsey Durlacher for jumping or the Chinese wrestler for stepping too far past that middle line. Anyway, it's now the Chinese wrestler's time to take that body lock.
See him trying to get some lift right there. Of course, again, keep in mind this is Greco-Roman style wrestling. You will not see any leg moves here whatsoever. It is much different than freestyle.
Yeah, Lindsey has one job to do at this point, and that is just keep his hips planted into the mat and not let this man tip him over sideways or front to back. And there's
man.
All right, that's
a little too late.
Yeah, well, you could see that Lindsey relaxed as soon as he heard that buzzer. And here's that throw again. He got the lift. It took him a couple of steps to get his balance and to get it going backwards. Right now, he's ready to toss. There it goes. And I'm sure he thought he might have had the fall there, but boy, that was just a beautiful throw. No fall was called. He wins the first period, and we're on to period 2.
Lee had tried to block it as best he could, just did not have enough that particular time. We'll go into period 2, as you mentioned before, and again, just all upper body throws. So this style of wrestling is very exciting.
Yeah, there's not...
Oh, so quick.
One of the reasons they're doing the parterre wrestling in breaking these periods down is so that there's an opportunity for a few more exciting throws. With Greco-Roman, you don't necessarily get as much scoring as you do in freestyle. However, when you do get throws, they're generally more spectacular because you can't use your legs to snag up the action. So it's a fun sport to watch when you start seeing these legs going flying through the air.
Mark, one of the beauties of wrestling is the fact that the little guys who are great athletes have a place to, of course, show their talents. And you get that in the sport of wrestling, where they don't have to face off against some of the big giants. You wrestle somebody your own weight. This particular case, about 121 pounds. Smaller individuals here, about 5'3". You certainly know the drill very well, but I think it's what's very exciting about wrestling is we get a chance to see these guys go to work.
Yeah, it's along the lines of the other combative sports like judo or boxing. I mean, really, there's just not that many opportunities for guys 5'3" and a tough 121 pounds, other than on the top of a thoroughbred horse. There's just not that many places for them. So you get good athletes down there.
Right off the bat, Lindsey Durlacher goes right down on the mat, as you mentioned before, trying to keep his hips down there, but then got up, and it looks like he might be exposed right here.
Yeah, that was close. I'm not sure if the refs gave points for that or not, but I believe they did give 2 back points.
A lot of action right here out of Durlacher.
Okay, they did give him the 2 back points for that tip. So Durlacher's got his work cut out for him here going into the last phase of this second period.
And I've got to ask you, Mark, what's he possibly thinking? Why would he not just keep his hips down there on the mat? It actually looked like he tried to get up.
Well, it looked like he tried to at first, and then he tried to back off, but by that time the wrestler had his head caught, and he took him over with it. It was a nice job.
We'll start this 30-second session here in the second period.
Okay, Lindsey really needs a lift here. Much as he did in his first period, he needs a lift here just to get this match tied back up or perhaps take the lead.
And obviously the ref not happy with the start of that.
Yeah, both wrestlers really get tricky here. It doesn't matter who's up or who down. The bottom wrestler's trying to start to move away before the top guy can get locked too well. Oh, he got a good lift.
Oh, he got to get it done again.
I don't know. Well, he made a nice throw, but it didn't look like the Chinese wrestler's back ever exposed to the mat. So right now, Lindsey did get credit.
He got a credit. He got 1 point for something there.
Well, they just gave a second.
Looked like a warning penalty there.
They gave a second point for Durlacher because the Chinese wrestler used his leg to lock or to block that throw by Durlacher. So
another term called leg hooking, of course, and you mentioned it before. You're not allowed to use any legs.
All right, so at this point, it is 2-2, and Durlacher actually has the advantage because he scored the last point. So the Chinese wrestler needs to do something here to score. Otherwise, and here's the end of the second period. This is a win for Durlacher. He wins that last second period, and go with the first period, he wins 2-0.
Great job. A lot of action inside of this match. Two very, very strong athletes there. Durlacher, of course, very happy to win here at home in front of his fans and family.
Here's that last throw with the Chinese wrestler. Boy, he got that head caught under there and tipped him over for 2 back points. Nice job by the Chinese wrestler, and Durlacher, of course, comes back to win the match.
Boy, nice move there for Durlacher as well. I mean, very, very aggressive. Here we go. And this is when the leg hooking occurred as well that actually cost the Chinese wrestler a point.
There with his right hand, just as Lindsey was lifting him, snagged him on the thigh. That's what cost him the point and ultimately the match.
Lindsey, pretty sweet homecoming for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to get the W at home.
Well, you're born in Evanston, you grew up in Buffalo Grove, haven't been back here in almost 10 years because of all the competition you've been doing, and it feel great to have family and friends watching you. And you had a couple nice lifts out there as well.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great feeling to be back here at home. Didn't really think I was going to be ever back here in front of friends and family. See what I do. My career's always been a mystery to them, but it's a real nice victory today, and I'm pretty happy about that.
For the people at home who don't know a lot about Greco-Roman wrestling, we know it's all upper body. How hard was it for you to adjust just using the upper body, no legs whatsoever? I mean, you're at that point in your career now where you're one of the best, but how hard was it to adjust on the collegiate style?
Well, yeah, here in America we always wrestle folk style all the way through kids club, all the way through college, and then we can kind of focus in on Greco. So we have a late start on our European foes. But I'm adapting nicely. My body stature, kind of short, stocky, fits in nicely with Greco-Roman. And, doing the right things to bring back that golden age here. That's my #1 focus right now. So Brian Urlacher couldn't do it, but Lindsey Durlacher got it done for Chicago.
Durlacher couldn't, but Durlacher did. Thanks, buddy.